And there have been fresh reports of gunshots in the Bawku municipality less than 24 hours after authorities imposed a 14-hour curfew in response to the threat of chieftaincy-linked violence. Heavily armed police and military troops have been deployed to prevent violence following the gunshots the previous day. The municipal chief executive, Amadou Hamza Zanga, says specific flashpoints have been identified where more troops will be stationed.
With the number of security personnel that we have, as in both in terms of the military and in terms of the police, and it wasn't adequate enough. So yesterday, we took a decision to call for more security to come from Tamale. And we also was able to contact the Interior Minister and then the Defense Minister. And then the Defense Minister made sure that there was a helicopter that brought some troops to Bawku. And so we have various positions that usually the combatant takes place in those areas. And so we on our side, together with the military intelligence at Bawku, have decided to place them at those points, those flash points, to be able to forestall or prevent the occurrence of a possible security issue. Tradition comes as a matter of rights. The rights are not absolute. There's no fundamental human rights that are absolute. There are limitations to the enjoyment of those rights. And so if the situation calls for certain measures to be taken, there's a need for us to know that some measures can be taken at the municipal level, at the regional level, and also at the national level. And so a measure like that to prevent people from wearing their smocks is not any novelty. It's not a new thing. Bawku has not known peace and since 1957 upwards. And so it's a measure that we use it. And so it's not a new thing. The people of Bawku understand this. So many years back, they have employed the same measure, preventing people from not wearing their smocks. And the rationale behind it is to ensure that persons who pick up their guns and hide it in their smocks to use it to perpetrate violence are seen. And when they are caught, the full rigors of the law would work on you. And so this is why we are using that measure to be able to prevent any occurrence of the conflict.
And some residents of Bawku have been speaking to Joy News.
Mr. Anana, what do you say? You're papa chop. Baby, what you man? No more, no more, curfew almost a four. So you put out 4 o'clock. You must never school. You must for your farm of you. That's it. Now you may maybe or more. See, I want for the phone. No point to curfew in your mind.
Crying because of the curfew. We can't go to school. Schools are locked. Pregnant women, everybody is crying because of the curfew.
Curfew is affecting us in town because if you put us the curfew right now, and we go inside, and those the outskirts, they are riding their motorbikes, doing bad things all over, burning people's things, spoiling people's things. Yeah, but in town here we don't have that thing. We can't do anything. So we are sitting down. They have to change the time. They have to change the time. Make it like 10.
So lift itself.
Lift it out, because if you give us the time like 6 or 4, you are raising the tension up. You yourself, like the security men and those people who are doing it, they also need what is going on.
Let's go live to Bawku now. Albert Sorry joins us on the line with more on the situation. Albert, let's start with the situation itself following that gunshot, fresh report of gunshots in some of the flashpoints. How volatile is the situation right now?
Yes, so at the moment it is curfew hours, so there isn't any cause for alarm. Okay. This morning, when the day was beginning, it appeared that everybody was going about their normal everyday activity until shortly before midday, when some sporadic gunshots were heard in some of the Bawku suburbs. What we learned was that following those gunshots, parents started rushing to the schools to ask the teachers to allow them to take their wards home. And so after a while, the teachers felt that, well, if all the parents are coming for their kids, then they may as well just close the school so they can go home. So the closure of the schools today, not every school was affected, but the schools in the areas where the gunshots were heard. And this, I must say, is not a directive from the Ghana Education Service or anything yet. So the children are expected to go back to school tomorrow if, there isn't any further directive. But looking at what happened this afternoon, I doubt that, the children will be returning to school tomorrow. But there was reinforcement from the Regional Security Council. Even though there were police and military presence in the area, more men had to be called in to try and calm, things down. So at the moment, everything is okay. There haven't been any casualties. It was just gunshots in the air that people heard.
Curfew itself, we had a while ago some of the residents say they think that the timing is not right. Some of them wanted lifted altogether. What is the level of compliance as far as the curfew is concerned?
Yes, everybody will have to comply with the curfew, I must say. These people that were complaining were talking to us just before the gunshots were heard at midday. These interviews were had before the gunshots today. Now, one of the things that we realized talking to the residents was that a lot of them didn't get time to prepare for the curfew. The curfew was announced yesterday afternoon, and it had to take immediate effect. So there were people who didn't even hear about it initially until it was getting to very close to the curfew hours. There are people who told us that they didn't even get the opportunity to have dinner because they thought, they would have their normal evenings out. And it turned out that after 4 p.m., they couldn't go out. So they went to bed without having their dinner yesterday. So this was generally why the residents thought that, they needed to extend the curfew hours, maybe to 6 p.m. and then, allow them time. There were also those who are workers, especially those who work in the health sector, who feel that now it is going to make their going to work very difficult, because then you will have to arrive, if you are working in the night shift, which starts between 6 and 7 p.m., you will have to get there before 4 p.m. in order to be able to beat the curfew time. And for those who work in the afternoon, they also have to close early so they can get home before the 4 p.m. curfew hours. These are the difficulties, but the municipal chief executive feels that this is what they need to do to ensure the security and the protection of life and property. So the people will just have to, manage with the situation.
Absolutely, this definitely has ripple effects. But Albert, in the midst of the gunshots that we are hearing and the military deployment, do we know if anybody has been picked up by the police or if they are on a search for some persons in particular?
The regional minister has indicated this evening that they are not going to spare anybody who is caught trying to cause any mayhem. One of the things that I've also that came up in the course of all of this is the ban on the wearing of smokes, which some of the residents have also been talking about, because the Regional Security Council feels that people hide their arms under the smoke because of how big it is when you wear it. They are easily able to hide weapons under there. So the people feel that the ban is in the right direction. But RECSEC and the security agencies have indicated strongly that anybody who is caught will not be spared. At the moment, we have not heard of any arrests whatsoever yet.
Albert, thank you very much for the update. That's correspondent Albert Sorry bringing us an update on the situation in Bawku following the curfew that has been imposed.